Hey guys, Vidhu here, back with another video, and today we're going to discuss fitness standardization. Now, when I call standardization, I mean no exercise is mandatory. There is by no means you need to do a certain set of exercises to reach your goals. For instance, people get locked up into exercises like deadlifts, like straight bar deadlifts, uh, with a barbell. People get locked up with traditional back squats with a bar on their back and then holding it and going down and coming back up. Um, Even though those exercises are great, you also need to understand that powerlifters do that because that is what their competition calls for. For people like me and you, we are more focused towards enhancing our strength in the most safest and the most efficient manner. And as a personal trainer, my job is to make you understand that your body and my body and some other person's body is different. My limbs have a different set of height. My torso has a different set of height. And while your torso might be lengthier than mine and legs shorter than mine, you never know. The problem with keeping an implement standardized or mandatory, making an exercise mandatory is that the height of the barbell with that plate, because you're lifting off the floor. I assume that you're performing the deadlift off the floor. The height of that plate, a 45 pound 20 kilo plate, is standard, but your torso and my torso lengths are different. Your legs and my leg length is different. And what happens is, if I'm getting a perfect position from that straight bar and those 45-pound plates, I can brace as much harder and I can lift better, lift safer than you. While you might be struggling with maybe tighter hamstrings, maybe tighter hips, maybe getting into your torso, getting into that perfect position of hinging, because deadlift is a hip hinge, and you might be struggling with a brace and could possibly, if you continue doing it, could lead to injury. The same goes true with the back squats. When you're using a straight bar and you're trying to squat, many people have lack of mobility in their ankles because, as I covered in my previous videos of joint by joint, that ankles are super tight because poor footwear, really not getting a lot of movement done in the ankles, and that is why it leads to tightness in the hip region through the knee. And then, unfortunately, when you're trying to squat, you're not able to go down, you're struggling halfway, and you're doing some messy version of a squat, which is not leading you anywhere, right? So how do we fix it? Now, these are just two common examples because I've seen a lot of people just, you know um, thinking deep in their hearts that these two exercises or even the bench press are mandatory for reaching their goals. They are their influencers' favorites. They have certain benefits that the other exercises really can't provide. Nothing can be further from the truth. The problem is that we face this particular syndrome in the social media world today, where we are facing lack of knowledge, we are facing a lack of exercise database with people. We are also facing a major issue of lack of understanding of a certain exercise, the science behind it. Let's take a deadlift. Deadlift is a hip hinge where you're picking things off the floor, picking weight off the floor through your hips. Now, doing that is can be little more complex, and simply lifting things, let's say lifting a medicine ball off a floor, or maybe a light thing off the floor, can be painful at times for people who have tight hamstrings. Lower back is tight and entire posture is has gone for a toss because of sitting all day and not moving, and then they start deadlifting the gyms and it's a disaster. Same goes true with squats. Everything is tight. You try to squat down, and it's a disaster. You either get injured in your spine area, either get uh, huge tendonitis in the hip flexor area. So you would like to avoid it, right? So get out of that fad phase. No exercise is mandatory. No exercise gives you a certain benefit the other exercise cannot. Okay, so how do we do it? In case of the deadlift, we need to understand that it's a hip hinge. The science behind it is the hip hinge, and it's very healthy to do. But it is not mandatory to use a straight bar, not mandatory to use the ground height. Yeah, if let's say your legs are taller than mine, then you might be getting into a safer position when the bar is lifted off the floor a bit. Use a box, maybe use the pins of the rack. Vice versa, if my legs are shorter, I might be benefiting well with the floor deadlift with a straight bar. Even with a straight bar, if it really restricts me in a certain fashion because I have to get into certain position, my arms are pronated, I don't like it. For me, a trap bar is far more functional and beneficial to build strength than a straight bar. So I have not used a straight bar in the last 4 years. Right? You can use that. You can switch the handles. You can use the upper handle if your legs are longer. You can use the lower handle if you can get into position from the floor. Okay, and that is how you can manipulate the load. Manipulate the load in such a way that you get into the best possible position to brace hard. The harder you brace, the stronger your lift could be, the heavier the weight you can lift. The same goes true with squats. You don't need to restrict yourself with only the straight bar behind your back. There are many implements out there to support you. Let's say if you don't have different barbells in the gym, some people have bars that have handles here, like it's the handles, and it's shown in this photo. The handles are attached to the straight bar, and you can hold them like this, so you don't have shoulder strain to just be in this position. Many people have shoulder tightness, they can't get into this position, and then they round and the bar falls off. But here it's pretty safer. But if you don't have this is called the safety squat bar, but most gyms in India supposedly don't have it. So what you can do is manipulate the height to which you can go. Use a box. Try box squats. Try maybe elevate your ankles. You can go a lot deeper, keep your torso a lot straighter while you're doing it. You can also try weightlifting shoes, which are automatically raising your ankles so that you can go deeper. That is also a very good implement, and you can really feel your squats going down and up and get really strong with that. Um, Always ensure that your form is top notch. Even if you have to go lighter, but your form has to be impeccable. Your form has to ensure that you load safely with the same exact form that you were doing with the empty bar. With any of the implements, the box squat or the elevated heel, or maybe raising off the pins of the squat rack, ensure that your form is impeccable. Ensure that you can brace hard. Ensure that your core is tight so that you can go down safely and get back up. So guys, no exercise is mandatory. These are just two examples which are very common with the fitness fraternity, with people in the gyms trying to compete in these movements. Great if you can do it safely. I say they are both are supremely great. I do them myself, but I do the trap bar version of the deadlift. I do the box squat of the back squat, box squat version. But you have to understand that each individual is different, and if you want to build strength, there are a lot many other ways to do them safely. And you should always strive for increasing your exercise database and understand the science behind the movement, right? So guys, if you have any questions, do hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to help, and I'll see you next week. Until then, be the outlaw.